Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Atomic Salt Live Show. This is the weekly live show where we're going to discuss everything in the tabletop hobby world. I am Wild Chevy, and I'm joined by my buddy, Steve Buscemi. Casey. Casey, how are you this week?
Buenas noches, Senior Allen.
Is that an adult cocktail you have with us?
If by adult you mean Pepsi with 4 ice cubes, then yes, it is.
Ah, going a little risky.
Daddy's little helper. Daddy's little helper.
All right, so let's start it off like we normally do. What have you done this week in the hobby world?
Okay, well, first and foremost, we actually played a game of 40K together. Now, you guys might see us every week, talking about all this stuff. You would think that, first of all, we play these games occasionally, and 2, that we actually play together. You'd be wrong on both counts. This is maybe our 3rd or 4th time ever actually playing 40K together.
Yeah. We're always in the same room, but never against each other. We weren't even against each other this time.
Yeah, I can't remember the last time we've actually battled against each other. We always end up as teammates.
Yeah,
it's like somebody knows
we're always big talk. You've got your Tau, I've got my Grey Knights. We're always big talking, but we never seem to manage ourselves on the battlefield.
You know what? You keep cowering out, and I won't say anything because I keep cowering out, and it kind of works. But no, you had your Grey Knights. I had my Space Wolves with a little bit of Tau mixed in.
I didn't even have my Grey Knights. I had my Blood Angels.
Oh, that's right. So, well, they fought like your Grey Knights do. So, oh, I went there. Anyways, so we were playing a Maelstrom mission. We each brought 1,000 points, and we were playing against our friend Austin. He had a 2,000 point force of orcs and Chaos Space Marines put together. Yeah, that's about how it went for us.
It was rough.
The ironic thing, for as rough as it felt like we got handled, the game was actually really close. It was only 10-8, and
that's one thing I noticed. Those Maelstrom missions do give you that ebb and flow of the game. It's not. Whereas a few editions ago, you'd be sitting there and just getting pounded by the enemy. You have nothing that you could do, and you're just holding on to dear life on this objective until the end of the game. Now you can do something each turn. That's amazing. You can actually score points and effectively try to bring a losing game into a winning game.
Yeah, I think this was actually one of your first Maelstrom missions, right?
This is, I think, my first game for 7th edition.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have a convert. You see why everybody says Maelstrom missions have revitalized the game. You might stick on an objective, you might pull off of one, you might have something that has nothing to do with an objective. And so, the option is always there, and it's always tempting just to go after the other guy. And a lot of times your objectives involve that. But a lot of times it doesn't. You're pulling off of stuff, you're not engaging, or you're doing something that might not be optimal for what that troop is meant to do, just because you're trying to score points, because you need to play the mission and not just try and pound the other guy into the ground.
Well, that's what we see with other games like Infinity and Malifaux and Drop Zone Commander. If you're fighting just to wipe somebody off the table, you'll end up losing the game, because if your opponent is going for objectives, they're going to outscore you.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, this is this brings that next level to the tabletop gaming and gives you more opportunities.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of fun. It was kind of interesting because, Austin just charged right at us, and boy, we thought we were ready for him, and my, how we were not. It was amazing because he brought almost like a green tide, like a fast green tide list. With a lot of boys in trucks, and had like a 6-pack of cans and dreadnoughts, and then with the Chaos Marines he had a lot of really shooty stuff, like a big squad of noise marines. At the same time, like hell brutes running forward, or no, forge fiends running forward, and it was just brutal. Like you think, okay, yeah, space wolves and blood angels, those guys can handle themselves in close combat, right? Oh man.
I mean, just at the bottom of turn 2, I was like, wait, we're only on turn 2? We're getting this hurt? This is rough.
Yeah, it was kind of rough, but then my rune priest, he started laying down the D weapons. So for psychic powers, I rolled on the Sanctic table and got a 6, which is a 3 warp charge power, so it's really hard to get off. But it's a D weapon template that stays on the board and gets to like kind of, travel around. And oh, I killed a ton of stuff with that.
Casey
I ended
got
up
his
killing.
D off pretty well.
Yes. Yes, the dirty D was.
Done dirt cheap.
Yes, it was. Out. That was nice. We didn't even plan that, folks. But yeah, it was a good game all around. So I had by the end of it, we only had a couple units left, one around the board, and we probably would have, if it went another turn, we probably would have gotten wiped off the board. But at the end, it was 8-10, and I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely gives some thought. I mean, if Feast of Blades happens this year and they do a doubles tournament, we need to get practicing on that. And taking these lists with multiple armies makes it real interesting because you're trying to bring powerhouse to list, and like our side had 3 armies, his side had 2, and it was the cohesion and the synergy was not quite there, but I think in time we could work on it.
Yeah, and this was just kind of a fun pickup game, and I think that, and I've run Blood Angels and Space Wolves together before, and they do well. Especially with this new book, I think that they would do really well along with the Wolves. I'm not sure I would do that necessarily. I think Blood Angels backed up by Tau would actually be a better combination.
A nice heavy support shooting and then in your face melee.
Yeah, definitely. But we still haven't heard anything from Feast of Blades, so it's starting to get a little interesting. Hopefully, and if any of you guys have any information on Feast of Blades, let us know, because like I said,
any event in Denver, let us know. We'll promote you. We'll talk about you. Let us know. I mean, we're close to Denver. Salt Lake, Denver, not too far away.
it is for one person to drive, it's not a whole lot of fun, but you get a car full of people together, and that is a blast of a drive.
Yeah,
because there's nothing to look at.
An RV this year.
If we did an RV, I'm fairly certain I would go to jail at some point because of the hijinks that would ensue. Yeah, I did look into it, and the ironic thing is that it doesn't actually save you all that much money. So, versus staying over like a cheap hotel when you pack people in. But anyways, let me show you what I've been working on.
Oh yeah,
real quick.
Shiny Syndrome. Let's see what we got.
So I managed to finish up Alke Nisei. Are you able to see her there?
Yeah, looking good. I like the pink pants.
I was really worried about those pants, but evidently it turned out well. So it highlighted up real nice. We can see her from the back there. So yeah, the pink on black turned out really nice. I'm not in love with this giant gun she's got strapped on her back, simply because it hides a lot of the interesting details, I think. But at the same time, I guess it's part of the model, you know. So what you gonna do, right?
But looks good.
And then this is the Crocman figure that Carlos gave me last year at Feast of Blades. So this was kind of their never before released model. I was kind of working on him a little bit, got some pictures done. You can see there's some weird stuff going on with this model. This was a kind of a prototype and it never saw the light of day. You know, so he's got like really tiny ankles and really giant feet. His gun is kind of like weirdly oversized. Then like the arms are a little strange here. There's just a lot of strange details. So what I did for this guy is you'll see right there, I tried to go for like a Terminator kind of vibe because there's like this giant seam down along the face where the mold didn't close quite right or something. So I started trying to.
That is always something. I mean, you get this nice looking fig and all that. You start working on it, and then all of a sudden there's this gnarly mold scene. You're like, oh, it's like, do I want to fix it? Can I fix it? But hey, what you did looks pretty good.
Yeah, and this was one of those cases where there was no way I was going to be able to fix this because not only was there a seam, but you could see that the mold hadn't come together quite right, and so it was like really. So even if you got rid of this seam, he would have like a really weird shift in his face, like you. So so I said, heck, I'll just work with it. I'll make it look like got a big old patch of skin tore off there. He's got a Terminator skull underneath him, and there's bits of battle damage all over his arm. So it kind of looks like maybe a bomb went off in his face, and he got back up, killed whoever set it off, and went back about his day. So, Alan, what about yourself? You get any painting done?
Yeah. I mean, I actually gave you a set of Stynylrez primer for your airbrush. Have you got to try that out yet?
Haven't even broken open the box.
Good to know. But you got something.
Well, now that I'm done with all this Infinity stuff, I will start working on it. I promise.
You're never done with Infinity stuff.
Anyways, enough about me.
Yeah, you always think you're done buying something, and then a month goes by, and they're like, "Hey, look, we got something for your army." You're like, "I want that. I don't know why, but I just want it."
It's so true. It's true, so true. I'm like addicted.
It's getting to the point for even my collection. I have the small little beta bag, and I think I need a bigger bag now because I've got all that stuff there in the Tower of Shame. It's not even built yet, and I want to use it. I want to play it. But I can't justify putting painted minis on top of each other in a bag loosely.
Folks, and this is where we're going to show that we're real professionals. We're going to go off on a sidebar here. You need to turn that Tower of Shame into like a wall of fame and just start showing off everything that you've got up there. That'll be a really cool backdrop for you.
Well, that's what it was, season 1. We had that in the backdrop. But
I know. We need to improve on this.
We'll work on it. But yes, I did get some since we were talking about airbrushing, I did get some airbrushing done. For our little battle, 40K battle. Originally, it was supposed to be Casey and Austin doing their own thing in the corner, and then me and Darren duking it out with my epic list of fire. But Darren came down with the crud, and so we're like, okay. So I still had all my stuff packed in my car, so I brought it with me, and I've been working on this. Let me get you a better photo. There is some airbrush technique from myself. This is a newer style that I'm used to, trying to force the shades and the highlights, and I think it's coming out pretty well.
Yeah, I'm liking it. Now, I've seen this style done a little bit before, so I have an idea of what you're going for. What colors are you using?
This is all Vallejo. Um, I went with their flat red color. It's very kind of bright and vibrant. Went through the whole thing, and that was my mid tone. And then I went and turned everything upside down, shot all the shades with red black, and you can see there's some panel shading and all that. And then I went through and took that flat red and put a little bit of mahogany in it, just to give a just to get the transitions a little bit down. And then finally, it went some extreme angles and hit all those hit all those edges with basic flesh.
Very cool. Yeah, I'm liking it. I think it looks really neat. It's been kind of fun, in the last few weeks we've watched you start to put this thing together and get it assembled. Now we're seeing it all painted up. I think that this should be a weekly update to keep you honest and keep you working on it.
I've been thinking
We're going to watch this come together.
Yeah, I mean, now that my schedule is more maintained, I guess it's less crazy than when it used to be. I'm going to actually start scheduling out my hobby time. So I'm gonna just list there every day what I'm going to be doing for myself, just to keep myself back in the rhythm, get painting going again. The tank is far from done. This is like the beginning stages. I still got to do all the panel work, some freehanding, all the metallics. But it'll come along. You'll hopefully see an update every week.
30 minutes, an hour every night is the way to get it done. Don't try and do big chunks. Just chip away at it a little bit here and there. Before you know it, it'll all be done.
Yeah, I mean, it's a beautiful kit from Forge World. I mean, it was a bit of a beast to put together, but I like it. It performed well on the tabletop until I had to save Casey's butt, and then it got torn up by cans.
Yeah, and then one single one of my cans, a new one. So, but anyways, yeah, by the time you're done with that Forge World tank, you'll be ready for all the new cool stuff that Forge World is coming out with.
What has Forge World come out with now? I mean, I have a shiny syndrome. It's pretty rough. What
All
do you got
right,
for me?
I need you to go find your credit card and go put it in the other room for a few minutes, okay?
But they accept PayPal now.
Okay, we're gonna need to stage an intervention here. So I have like a billion tabs open. I got a lot of stuff to show you. Are you ready?
I'm ready. Give it to me.
Okay, so to start off with, GW/Forge World has opened up Warhammer World. It's kind of like their new front office, gift shop, headquarters, museum, kind of a little bit of everything, right? So this was their opening weekend, and we got a ton of pictures because they've had a bunch of new releases. So nice building. It's actually not as big as what you would assume Warhammer World would look like, but it's still really nice. I think that that's okay. So, but of course we don't see the whole building from here.
And I mean, we're kind of used to seeing that Space Marine out front.
I know, right? I kind of miss him. But inside, everything looks really, really nice. You can see Forge World has their own dedicated space there. They've got, I imagine everything that Forge World can do. The amazing thing is look, there's actually a girl in this store. They do play this hobby. Bugman's got a bit of a facelift. So while you're there, you can go and get some grubbing on. I keep seeing these things like they've got speakers, and I would just really like it if you had like a live band playing there every once in a while. Wouldn't that be amazing?
They're probably just playing their audiobooks, audio dramas.
Oh gosh, that's like the opposite of amazing. Have you ever listened to those?
Yes.
They are so bad.
Uh, I mean, I've only heard a few good radio dramas, like Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and this one. Yeah, this the one I read or for I think it was a Space Marine book. It was a little rough.
Yeah, James Swallow is one of my favorite Black Library authors, and he's also on a lot of their Garo audiobooks. But for as much as I love his writing, I hate the audio dramas. I just can't stand it.
I
So
think it's because they force the sound effects.
they
I mean,
force it.
you hear somebody's when you read a book and somebody says he's shooting a bolter, you've got an imagination. You kind of have an idea of what it sounds like. When they put it in there, you're like, eh.
Yeah, and like when you read the dialogue, like dialogue that's kind of corny in a book, like as you're mentally processing it, it doesn't feel quite as corny, when you read it, because you can imagine guys delivering it just right, or a scenario where it's not too bad, or like you kind of fudge around it in your brain. But man, when you're hearing somebody say it, it just it doesn't sound right.
But yeah,
But
hopefully
anyway,
those speakers are playing music and it looks a lot brighter and different than the old photos of Bugman's.
it is like it's nice, it's clean, it's open, it's airy, which is really cool. It's kind of the opposite of what every game store is like. So, but when you go in there, they've constructed just these massive, massive dioramas everywhere.
That
This
is
one in particular.
huge.
Oh yeah, I mean, look. You can see this is like going up a flight of stairs. This is like a one-story tall, or almost a one-story tall diorama. You've got like squadrons of flyers flying down around buildings. Hordes of guys swarming bridges. It's just utterly amazing. This is one I really like. This is as far as I can tell, this is the Battle of Istavan 5, where we have the Emperor's Children versus the Iron Hands. The Iron Hands have all come down. You can see them on the left here, and all their drop pods, and they're just charging out. And here's the Emperor's Children, coming out of this giant fortress that they've constructed. And this is always like one of the saddest stories to me in the Horus Heresy is Ferrus Manus versus and I can't remember the Primarch's name now for the Emperor's
Oh,
Children.
yeah. He's fighting the guy who gave him his
Fulgrim.
sword.
Yeah, Fulgrim. Yeah. These guys were just as close as brothers. They made these amazing weapons for each other, and in a lot of ways they had the same goals. Like they were always seeking to make themselves better. They went about it different ways, but then the one guy just falls and twists, and that whole bond just gets twisted and corrupted. And for me, it was always one of the saddest ones because it was the most personal. I mean, you have other Primarchs where they just never liked each other from the beginning, and they had a chance just to finally vent that. But this was one of those cases of truly brother fighting brother.
I mean that looks epically amazing. I mean,
Yeah, and you can see
I
this guy standing right here just to give you an idea of the scale.
well 2 years ago, Forge World had something like that at Gen Con, and yeah, you can spend hours just looking at this thing and seeing something new every time you look at it.
Yeah, and then this is another one of my personal favorites is this giant IG one.
Oh,
So you just got squadrons of Lehman Russes. You've got a couple of Bane Blades up in the back. You know, and then just rows and rows. I can just imagine some guy with a ruler like just sitting there for an hour or two, just trying to get like this whole block of guys. And then somebody walks up, "Hey, Bob, you want to go get a pint?" And he turns, yeah, and knocks over like half of them. He's like, "Oh, bloody hell," or whatever they say. And
Yeah, was that like a parade grounds? Looks like.
yeah, it kind of looks like it. Yeah, like it's the opposite of these other ones where everything is just chaotic. It's giant melees, and this is a very organized scene that's going on. It makes me wonder if like these giant dioramas are they going to be rotated out every so often, or will these be permanent displays? Yeah, here's a fun one. You've got Eldar versus Tyranids with actual light effects coming up from
That
this
looks
planet.
cool.
Yeah, you've got the Eldar Titans in the background, and this is another one like this mountain. Like there's a lot of pictures of this one. Like this mountain is just being like ripped to pieces, and stuff is falling off. And
I like how
I know
they
what I'm showing
incorporated
you is.
a background image.
I know, right? It makes it look like it's a lot bigger than what it is. It's still huge, but I love this idea of just this is what a Tyranid invasion should look like on every board that you play. Just swarms and swarms of little bugs running all over the place with these giant big bugs backing them up. So here's a little bit better view of the Emperor's Children's one, just to give you a size of scale of these walls. Like here's like your regular little tactical marine here. Just the hugeness of this. So we've got a lot of 30K type stuff moving around here. Giant melee going on in the middle. I'm not sure if this would be hilariously fun to set up or just extremely tedious.
It's a lot of pinning involved because I see nobody on a base.
Oh gosh, you're right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's true. I mean, bases would just ruin that, but then you wonder if there's like one guy who comes in after hours and like just like slightly moves them just a little bit like every night. So if you did a time lapse photography, you could actually see these armies charging together. So way up on the top, there's Fulgrim and Ferris Mana going at it.
The Clash of the Titans.
Yeah. And it's just so sad that Fulgrim's model is so derpy. But still, it's epic looking. I mean, to see like this whole giant melee going on, and then this one single spire, these two guys fighting it out. So, but not only was there a lot of cool stuff to look at, there was good stuff to buy. So now we don't know if these are going to be a Warhammer World exclusive or limited time, but the Space Marines are getting 2 new tanks.
Or 2 new kits for tanks, looks like.
True. So there is actually a formation and rules for these guys, and you actually buy these 2 vehicles together. And they're about 400 points. Typical Land Raider and Rhino stats, but each one gives certain bonuses to the units around it. Increasing ballistic skill or granting like 6+ feel no pains, and when these vehicles are near each other, there's added bonuses, sort of thing.
And it looks like the weapons are a little bit different. That looks like instead of Stormbolter on the Rhino, it looks like plasma. And
yep, looks like a double plasma.
Is that a grav gun on the Land Raider?
I believe so. We do know that it's actually when you get this, it's just a regular kit with a single extra sprue. So there's not a whole lot different on these guys, but still looks cool. I dig the little servo skull hanging up here. I think this guy looks a little dumb, but whatever. They're Space Marine tanks. They don't have to make sense, right?
What else do you got?
So, Forge World, as usual, is showing off some stuff. Ultramarines. We've got some new Ultramarine guys. This is going to be one of their assault squads. In 30K, it's a little different. Assault squads are troops for every legion, and it's one of their troop types. And every legion tends to get kind of a specialized assault squad. They usually do the same thing, they just all look a little different. So chances are we'll be seeing these guys, because it looks like they're done, and Space Marines are being released right now. So we'll probably see these guys all painted up and find out a little bit more about them soon. And speaking of Space Marines, here's the head honcho himself.
Oh, yes, I saw a teaser image of this earlier.
Yep.
That's
Mr.
Julian, right?
Robout Juliman.
Julian.
What?
Yes.
Juliman.
He looks
Juliman?
amazing.
Whatever you say. I think that after Horus, this is my favorite Primarch that they've done. Simply because he looks like you would think a Primarch should look like. He looks very stoic, very regal. His base is absolutely ridiculous that they've got him on.
Yeah, I'm looking at his base, and all the other ones you could kind of see how they're gonna, how it could be a gaming base and a display base. Not sure how it would work with this one.
Yeah, I don't see it either. Maybe, hopefully this isn't the final base. I mean, it looks great. Don't get me wrong, but this looks very much like a display piece, not like something that your regular base is going to socket down into. I would hate to go like having to drag that thing around the board. But the cool thing about it is he's got, okay, so he's an Ultramarine. So, and we can tell you that because he's got little, Omegas all over the place. But at the same time, it's not like he's got Omegas on top of Omegas or a billion skulls lined up everywhere. It
Yeah,
all just looks,
there's
it
a
looks
clear
clean.
like a skull.
Yeah, he just looks very like clean and kind of Romanesque, which I think is why I like it. He looks amazing, but at the same time, he doesn't look like he's been overdone.
Very true. And they did look a very good job on his face and like the sword.
Yeah, I'm not too hot on the face. I think there's something about like the cheekbones or something looks a little strange to me. But I think his arm looks outstanding. The golds look great. The blue looks like a real like painted blue metal. Just I couldn't be happier with it. I think that
Yeah.
they've done a great job with it.
As soon as somebody gets one of the pro painters gets their hands on this, we'll see a lot of nice paint jobs in the near future.
Yeah, Lester Bursley has been doing all of the Primarchs, and I cannot wait for him to get his hands on this one. Because, I mean, the Forge World and GW painters are very good. They're world class. However, there's some other guys out there that will really blow them away and will really, really make this model shine. And the interesting thing, though, is it'll all be painted like this. You take like your generic tactical marine or a captain, and guys will really just turn them into whatever color they feel like or what looks neat, and that's great.
The one interesting thing, though, that I just noticed, I think this is the first time we've seen somebody with the power fist holding something in his hand. He's holding the scabbard in his power fist.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Kind of amazed he's not crushing it. But did it in a similar scheme as this. And so you kind of get a really good apples to apples comparison among painters. So yeah, but I'm very excited for that. Also, we had another guy. This is Sigmundson of the Iron Hands. He's kind of like their like the second in command after Dorn. So he's another one we saw teased, and another one I have no idea how his base actually fits down in here.
But it looks like, yeah, he's destroyed, I guess, Karen or some other type of battle tank.
Yeah, he's no joke in 30K. You know, this is kind of like your prototype Emperor's Champion type guy. You know, the he's the homing missile you just let loose and let him wreck whatever he comes across. So, but I think, and I know some people think that his legs look a little out of proportion. I think it's just been some bad picture angles. But this is another model that I love. We've got another view of him, just because he just looks amazing. Like, it doesn't look overdone. You don't see fists like plastered all over this guy. You know, he looks like a Marine. He looks like an even more awesome, crazy Marine. But just done very, very nicely. And to be honest, I think all of the Emperor's Children stuff has looked great. Or not Emperor's Children, Imperial Fists. So
It's very, very Asian or martial arts esque on the pose.
yeah, he's really dynamic, like oddly dynamic for Space Marines. But I'll tell you what, I'm not really an Imperial Fist guy. I'm not really. I think yellow is kind of dumb looking on Marines.
And it's
I
a
get what
hard
I
color
think.
to paint. It's a
Yeah,
very hard color.
It's a hard color to paint. I'm not really in love with the Legion or the chapters. Like just kind of like their mentality and their style doesn't really fit me. But holy crap, the Imperial Fist Forge World models I think are some of my favorites. To the point where I've sat there for a long time looking at these like, man, how do I justify these guys to myself? Because at the end of the day, he's still just like a giant armor banana. So, oh, and people have been begging, right? So for more, here's our big Mechanicum, or Mechanicus, I should say, model for their 30K guys. They get their massive super heavy tank.
That looks odd. I like the cannon. Just the chassis, that's odd.
That's just kind of the way the Mechanicus is. Like, all of their stuff just looks really strange and different.
Yeah, but their transport that they released a few months back had that nice, like 40 style, stretched out car look to it. This looks like a director set.
Yeah, fair enough. But if you look at a lot of the units and stuff that they've released, this kind of fits more in line with it. It's not my style. Like, I appreciate the technical expertise that went into it, but then again, like Mechanicum, Mechanicus, there's whole thing that they've got going on, like 40s, 50s sci-fi with mechadendrites and tendrils coming out everywhere. It just isn't my thing, but looks great though.
Yeah, very much a doomsday villain device.
Yeah, definitely. Like, you could see this thing like pointing up at the sky or down at the ground, and some guy cackling like, "And now I've spelled this planet's doom."
No, Mr.
And
Bond, I want you to die.
yeah, at the same time, it looks like It looks like a sex toy on tracks. I'm just gonna say it. There you go.
And he went there, folks.
Hey, it looks like the guys at Forge World get about as much action as I do. So there you go.
Maybe you should play Myth more.
And then something that people have been begging for. Forge World is finally giving us Chaos Knight Titans. Here, we'll dig in
we
here.
knew it was going to come eventually, but I mean, that looks cool. I like it.
Yeah, it looks like it's essentially the Knight kit with a new carapace, new shoulder pads, and new armor bits. But I look at all this and I say, why the heck isn't this in plastic? You know, why isn't this like an upgrade piece that GW sells? It seems like a slam dunk, you know? That being said, it looks amazing. I don't think GW could have done one this nice.
And who's the guy in the background there?
Looks like another Knight Titan, or Lord of Skulls, I believe.
No, because he's standing up. It looks like a Dread Knight gone chaos, gone corn.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely chaos. You can see the... I don't have a better picture of him here. But, you know, he's definitely got the chaos thing going on there. And, you know, kind of a Cornish maybe looking head. So I think it's just a different Lord of Skulls that they've come out with, like a different option, so you don't have to take the stupid corn mower. Because let's be honest, if you have the choice between this and the corn mower, everybody would take this one. Like,
Very
the
true.
rules are still okay, but now you have a bitchin' model to go with it. And he looks about the same size as a Knight Titan.
And again, we'll see some amazing paint jobs. I mean, there's people who do chaos very well.
Oh yeah, and with the way all these pads are done, I can just see somebody like nurgling this thing up, and it's gonna look like I can see Korn or Nurgle doing real justice to this model. Hopefully, we won't have to wait too long for it to come out. And before I get to the last one, I want you just to look at this a little bit. Well, and I have to sit here and admit that I was wrong. You know, a few weeks ago, I assumed that we were just going to see a Knight Titan. I said there was no way that they would ever do a Warlord Titan. But here it is.
I'm laughing at the points. 2,700 points.
Base.
$15. That's going to be a hard nut to crack.
Have we ever seen Armor 15 before?
I think, is it Baneblade a 15 or is it 14?
I'm not sure. Maybe it's a 15, but I was thinking that this was the first.
Oh, heck, 30 hull points. That's
Yeah.
You're going to be mobbing this thing, whatever it looks like.
You know, honestly, I think the only way that you can do this is with like EMP grenades. There's absolutely no point in trying to shoot this guy with Meltas because you'll never have enough. First of all, trying to get through all of this. Second of all, trying to score 30 hull points.
See, what you do is you kill a weaker Titan next to it and let that thing go supernova on the D table.
Oh, there you go. But at the same time, for this many points, I mean, this is somebody's whole army at 3,000 points, realistically. And I don't see a lot of people actually playing games with this as their actual army. I see this being the point of a game. If you're bringing a Warlord Titan, Like this isn't just at 3,000 points. This is not a pickup game that you're playing. This is something that you're playing that in their basement or other game store set aside for a weekend. And you're playing a let's kill the warlord titan or see if we can, right?
Well, it's like a Talmanta. You don't buy a Talmanta. You buy a Talmanta if you have enough money and you want a big display piece. You don't buy it to play because that thing is epically huge, and you'll cry when it falls on the floor.
Right. And same with this guy. You're gonna like hire security guards to stand around this thing. So,
But if you build it, they will come.
well, especially if you build this bad boy. All right, you ready to see him? We've seen a
Right.
lot of teases from Forge World. So, but let's take a look at how this guy looks. So there's kind of a close-up of his head. So roughly $2,000. You can see here he is in all of his glory.
Oh,
And here's kind of a different head option. So we'll start with this one just because you can see everything. Here's a regular Marine down here by his feet to give you a sense of scale. I mean, this guy's 2 feet tall, maybe 2.5 feet. And then obviously just massive guns. One on each arm, and then he's got like 2 carapace weapons. Absolutely insane. I mean, I imagine this guy like wiping units off the table every turn. But at the same time, here we go. Here he is all painted up in the usual livery of blue and yellow and gold that we see a lot of the Night Titans. House Terran, I believe, is what they're known as.
that's huge. I mean, it's amazing. I would like to know though, like, if when you buy it, do you get all the options, or do you have to piecemeal it?
I would like to think that for $2,000 you're getting a complete kit, but honestly, with the way Forge World works, is you're just going to get the torso, and you're going to have to buy the arms separate. I mean, look at the size of this gun. He could actually shoot Space Marines. That's how big these guns are. Like, you could use Space Marines as bullets. I want to see that happen. I want to see a chaos, like a Chlorinate one, where you're shooting out like World Eaters. So, but here's the great thing. Even when you get up close, like you would assume, okay, well, this thing is so big that there's no. You would imagine there not being a lot of detail when you get up close, just because it's so huge. But no, like look at this. Even when you get up close, I mean, you've got like tanks with rivets all over them, and little tiny details and crevasses. You've got, I don't know, scale wise, that those are probably like las cannons or something there. But I mean, you've got deck grading going on. Vents, with all like the slats in them. There's just an insane amount of detail on this kit. And we've seen it, like all these pieces come off of the feet there, and there's like a whole, mechanisms inside there. You have roller balls with tracks to move up and down to flex with this thing as you position it. And again, just gobs of detail on every surface of this thing. Then at the same time, you've just got nice, large, open, clean expanses for artists to go nuts. Like, I'd like to see a guy just go and like paint a giant mural on the background of this, you know, like a Sistine Chapel kind of looking thing here.
You know what? If you give somebody the opportunity and the money, they'll do it.
No, not even the money. You know, some of these artists are just drooling right now over what they can do with this thing. But here's the thing, like 2003, that's car money. Like, you can seriously buy a car for this amount of money as what you're buying a 2-foot hunk of resin for. I mean, this is truly a hobbyist's, apex. This is the thing that you buy and then you spend like the next 5 years of your life working on.
I'm curious. I wonder how well it assembles. Because I know I've heard some people, because it's resin, the structural, because you're just slapping it together with glue, basically. Wonder how structural it is.
Not very. I mean, look at this. Let's get a nice this whole thing. I imagine not very, because even if like underneath those guns, it's not a whole big hunk of resin. It's just massive. I mean, no, I've got on a screen share. I mean, look at all the weight that you're putting on relatively small joints right here at the hips or on the knees. Like, I think the feet can actually take the weight of it, but those joints, you're going to need to do some serious reinforcing with probably like some steel rods or something. Like, you're going down to Home Depot and like buying steel bars to set in there.
I mean,
and then of course,
not too far from me, I have an old armor cast, Warhound type, and for the assembly on that, they actually put 3/4 bolts and poured the resin around it, so you could just bolt it on.
Yeah, and I think that's what you're also going to have to do with the arms when you consider how much resin you're hanging off of a very small spot. And then not to mention, you're going to need some kind of like steel support that's, holding it off from there, because unless you have like some really beefy shoulder structure up in here, the weight from here and here is just going to be pulling down too much. You're going to need to spend some time and some love trying to figure out how to reinforce this guy.
And you got to make sure to keep it in the fridge, because if you put that out in the sun, that's going to be a sagging mess of resin.
Yeah. This is like I said, this is a multi-year project. I mean, now granted, the guys at Forge World paint this up like in a couple of weeks, maybe a month, because it's their job. But yeah, I mean, just to do this thing proper justice is just a massive undertaking. So I don't know, maybe some guys have, like over 2 years a $2,000 to $3,000 budget, but they're richer men than I. So that's what I got tonight, Alan.
Yeah,
and I'll be honest.
Yeah,
I think we should.
Yes.
That's anything else we try and talk about tonight will just seem to be small compared to a Warlord Titan.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of plasma to donate.
Plasma, nothing. That's organs right there, buddy.
It doesn't have to be my plasma.
I know nothing. I know nothing at all, folks. So, well, that's all I've got for tonight, Alan. My glass is almost empty.
All right, yeah. We'll leave on a high note. That's all I've got. But let us know, guys, down in the comments. I mean, have you looked at any of the stuff from Forge World? Have you seen any of those dioramas in person? What did you think of those? Are you going to be buying yourself a Warlord Titan? And
Or
if you
even
are,
anything
let us
something
know.
smaller.
Yeah. I mean, have you bought anything from Forge World before? Just let us know in the comments. We would like to hear your thoughts on this topic. But as for that, thank you guys for watching. Tune in next week. Please comment below. Let us know what you think. Like this video, share it with your friends, and subscribe to see more. Casey, anything else?
I've got nothing else other than if you've got a piece of news or an interesting product you'd like us to take a look at or talk about, just shoot us an email at theatomicsalt@gmail.com. Forge World, you can call me. That's all I've got for tonight. This has been the Atomic Salt, and we've just blown your mind with a 2-foot Warlord Titan.
Good night, folks.